It started with a cheeseburger and an inflatable flamingo. By the time she left my backyard that day, I'd been fined $30,000 for using my own pool. This wasn't just about a pool. This was about control. About a system designed to protect us, turned into a weapon. They said I was breaking rules that didn't exist. They said I had no right to fight back. They were wrong. What followed was a battle that would divide our neighborhood, and then unite it in ways we never imagined. This is what happens when you're pushed too far. This is my story. Before we go further, tell me where you're watching from. Type it in the comments, because this isn't just my fight, it's yours too. I'm Jim, and if you'd asked me a year ago, I would have told you I was just a regular homeowner. I wanted what most people want, a peaceful life, a safe neighborhood, and a place where my family could make memories. Nothing fancy, just ours. We'd saved for years to buy this house. Every extra shift, every skipped vacation, every late-night talk about the future, it all led here. And that pool, that was the dream. A place for birthday parties, summer afternoons, and lazy weekends. A place where friends and neighbors could gather, where laughter was the loudest sound. Our neighborhood was one of those places where everyone knew everyone, or at least, that's how it seemed. We had block parties, holiday parades, and a homeowners association that was supposed to keep things running smoothly. The HOA's job, they said, was to protect property values and foster a sense of community. You know, keep the lawns mowed, the fences painted, and the streets safe. But sometimes, power gets complicated. Sometimes, the rules meant to protect us become something else entirely. Some of the neighbors' faces are blurred for privacy. Each shares a quick story, laughing nervously. Neighbor 1. Oh, Karen, she means well, I guess, but she's thorough. Very thorough. Neighbor 2. She once fined us for leaving our trash cans out an hour too late. An hour. My husband still jokes about it. Neighbor 3. She's always watching. I mean, it's good someone cares, but sometimes it feels like living under a microscope. Karen, I'll never forget the first time she came by. Clipboard in hand, sunglasses on, like she was on a secret mission. I thought, well, at least she's dedicated, but I had no idea what was coming. Karen was the HOA board member everyone knew. She'd lived here longer than most of us and seemed to take the rules as a personal crusade. At first, it was little things, reminders about mailbox paint, warnings about basketball hoops. Annoying, sure, but nothing life-changing. But then things changed. One Saturday, we had a few friends over, just a handful of families, some burgers on the grill, and the kids splashing around. It was nothing out of the ordinary. No loud music, no wild parties, just summer. She looked at me and said, "Do you have a permit for this gathering?" I almost dropped my burger. A permit? For a family barbecue? I thought she was joking. Then the letter arrived. $30,000. $30,000 for unauthorized pool use. My hands shook as I read it. I must have read it a dozen times, thinking it was a mistake. I remember thinking, this can't be real. There's no way they can do this. But there it was, in black and white. $30,000 for swimming in my own pool. I tried to laugh it off at first. I mean, who gets fined 30 grand for using their own pool? But as the days passed, reality set in. The HOA wasn't backing down. Karen wasn't backing down. And suddenly, our dream home felt like a prison. I started to wonder if I was the only one. If everyone else was just too afraid to speak up. If maybe, just maybe, this was how it always started. But I wasn't going to let them win. I wasn't going to let my family be bullied out of our home. This was just the beginning. I'll never forget the day Karen showed up at my door. Clipboard in hand, sunglasses perched on her nose, striding up my driveway like she owned the place. I thought maybe she was coming to say hello. Maybe she wanted to borrow some sugar. Turns out she wanted something else entirely. Karen stands at the gate, tapping her clipboard, her voice clipped and official. Karen, I need to inspect your pool. There have been reports. Me. Reports? What reports? I asked her if she wanted to join us for a swim, but she didn't laugh. Not even a smirk. She just pointed at her clipboard and started rattling off rules I'd never heard of. She accused me of violating half a dozen rules, hosting unauthorized gatherings, creating a nuisance, even running a commercial event space. I asked for proof. All she had was a request, not a legal demand, not a single signed complaint from a neighbor. Just her word. But I stood my ground. I'm sorry, but unless you have a legal reason, you can't come in. This is my home. My family is here. I respect the rules, but I also know my rights. Karen, flustered, scribbling notes. She storms off, muttering about further action. It felt like a personal attack, not just on me, but on my family's right to our home. The pool that once brought us together now felt like a target on our backs. I wasn't going to let them bully me. I started documenting everything, every letter, every visit, every phone call. I read the HOA rules cover to cover. I even called the city to ask about property rights. And when that wasn't enough, I reached out to a lawyer. I started flipping through a thick binder labeled HOA Dispute Documentation. I became an expert in HOA law overnight. I even started dreaming about legal terms. My wife said I was obsessed. Maybe I was. But I wasn't about to let them take our home over a pool party. I sent emails, attended an HOA meeting, tried to reason with Karen and the board. The meeting is tense. Karen interrupts. Other board members avoid eye contact. I tried to resolve things the easy way. I emailed, I called, I even went to a board meeting. I offered to compromise, limit the number of guests, set quiet hours, whatever it took. But every time, Karen pushed back harder. The fines stack up. Now it's not just $30,000, it's threats of legal action, accusations of running a business from home. She accused me of turning my backyard into a water park. I wish. Maybe then I could have paid the fines. The stress started to seep into everything. My kids were afraid to invite friends over. My spouse started looking at real estate listings, just in case. The pool sat empty, covered, as if it was something to be ashamed of. I installed security cameras, put up no trespassing signs, and hired a private security company for advice. I had to protect my family. I posted legal notices and made sure every visit from the HOA was caught on tape. I even hired a security consultant to make sure I was within my rights. Let's just say she wasn't expecting to be on the other side of the lens. I invited my lawyer in a small office, stacks of paperwork between you. That's when we decided to fight back. We filed a response to the court requesting that the case be dismissed for lack of merit and malicious prosecution. We countersued for harassment, legal fees, and emotional distress. Legal documents, stamped, emails sent, phone calls made. The process is slow and exhausting. There were nights I lay awake, wondering if we'd made a mistake. What if we lost? What if they really could take our home? But every time I looked at my family, I knew I had to keep going. Some neighbors gathered in my backyard, quietly at first. One by one, they share their own stories. Unfair fines, threats, sleepless nights. Neighbor 1, she fined us for having a garden hose in the front yard. Can you believe that? Neighbor 2, I got a notice for leaving my porch light on too late. It's like she's waiting for us to slip up. Neighbor 3, I thought I was alone. I'm glad you're fighting back. The community begins to rally. Neighbors sign a petition, attend HOA meetings, and speak up. The mood shifts from fear to solidarity. I wasn't alone anymore. The more I fought, the more my neighbors found their voices. We started as strangers, but we became a team, a community. I never wanted to fight. I just wanted to swim in my own pool. But if standing up for my family means standing up for everyone, then that's exactly what I'll do. After months of letters, meetings, and sleepless nights, it all came down to this. The courthouse. I walked in with my family, my neighbors, and a binder full of evidence. I'd never set foot in a courtroom before, but I knew I wasn't just fighting for myself anymore. The courtroom is filled with neighbors, some whispering, others clasping hands. Karen sits at the front, flanked by the HOA board. The judge enters, and the room falls silent. My lawyer laid out everything: the letters, the surveillance footage, the bylaw violations, on their part, not mine. The judge listened, patient but firm, as Karen tried to justify the fines. She waved her clipboard, cited rules that didn't exist, and even accused me of disturbing the harmony of the community. My lawyer presented evidence. The judge raising an eyebrow at Karen's explanations, my family watching anxiously. When it was my turn, I spoke from the heart. I told the judge about my family, our dreams, and how this ordeal had turned our lives upside down. I talked about the fear, the frustration, and the hope that maybe, just maybe, justice would be served. Judge firm. The court finds in favor of the defendant. The fines are dismissed. The HOA is ordered to pay all legal fees. Furthermore, the court recognizes a pattern of harassment and recommends a review of the HOA's leadership. The judge saw through the harassment. The fines were gone. The HOA had to pay our legal fees, and for the first time in months, I could breathe. Karen and the board face a formal review, with the threat of personal liability for their actions. But it didn't stop there. The court ordered a review of the HOA's practices. Karen and her allies were held accountable for their abuse of power. The message was clear. No one is above the law, not even the HOA. We had a community meeting in the neighborhood clubhouse. I stood at the front. Neighbors gathered around, some nodding, others wiping away tears. We deserve an HOA that works for us, not against us. It's time for new leadership, for transparency, and for a community that stands together. Who's with me? It wasn't just about a pool. It was about standing up for what's right, even when it's hard. I'll be honest, there were moments I wanted to give up. But every time I looked at my family, I knew I couldn't. I learned the power of knowledge, of documentation, and most of all, of community. I learned that when people come together, even the biggest bullies can be stopped. Interviews with neighbors. Faces now open and smiling. Neighbor 1. He inspired us to take back our HOA and make it work for everyone. I never thought I'd speak up, but now I know I can. Neighbor 2. We were all scared, but he showed us that we have rights too. This is our home, and we're not going to be pushed around. Neighbor 3. I used to avoid the meetings. Now, I'm running for the board. Karen and her allies quietly stepped down, new faces taking their place. The community gathers for a block party, the pool at the center of it all. We turned a painful ordeal into a victory for everyone. Our community is stronger, and our rights are protected. The pool is open again, but more importantly, so is our sense of belonging. I never wanted to be a hero. I just wanted to swim in my own pool. But sometimes, the fight you never wanted is the one that changes everything. If you're watching this, remember, you have a voice, you have rights. And when you stand up for what's right, you can change your world, and maybe even inspire others to do the same. If you're watching this and you're facing HOA abuse, I want you to hear me clearly. You are not alone. I know how overwhelming it can feel when it seems like the system is stacked against you. I know what it's like to lose sleep, to worry about your family, to feel like you're fighting a battle no one else sees. Start by documenting everything. Keep every letter, every email, every voicemail. Take photos, save receipts, and write down every interaction. The more you have in writing, the stronger your case will be if you ever need to stand up for yourself. There are resources out there to help you. I've put links in the description to homeowner advocacy groups, legal aid organizations, and step-by-step guides for handling HOA disputes. Don't hesitate to reach out for support. Sometimes, just knowing your rights is enough to make a difference. And if you need legal help, don't be afraid to talk to a professional. It's worth it. Change doesn't happen by accident. It starts with us. Show up to meetings. Ask questions. Hold your HOA accountable. Encourage your neighbors to get involved. The more united you are, the harder it is for anyone to push you around. Remember, your voice matters. Your story matters. And together, we can make our communities better for everyone. Justice isn't always easy. Sometimes it's exhausting. Sometimes it's scary. But it's always worth fighting for. I didn't set out to be a hero. I just wanted to protect my family and my home. But along the way, I found something bigger. A community willing to stand together, to speak up, and to fight for what's right. If you take anything from my story, let it be this. Never underestimate the power of standing up. Never underestimate the difference one voice can make. And never forget that real change starts with ordinary people. People like you and me. Thank you for sharing this journey with me. If you have your own story, or if you just want to support others, share in the comments below. Let's keep this conversation going. And if you found this story helpful or inspiring, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Together, we can make. Subscribe for more true stories of justice and community.